Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Weekly Sports. This is Miami Minute, where we cover my favorite team, the Miami Dolphins, and unfortunately, not a whole lot of positive stuff to talk about today. I'm recording this mere moments after the Dolphins have lost to the Patriots 23 to 21. Although the score is a little misleading, as the Dolphins, of course, scored with a minute left with no timeouts, and they did not get the onside kick. Not that you can really expect anyone to get an onside kick these days in the NFL. But it was a disappointing game from, I was going to say beginning to end, but not from beginning to end. The Dolphins had a lot of injuries coming into this game. One of the things that makes this loss so frustrating is you did feel like the Dolphins are a better team than the Patriots. However, the injuries held them back from actually showing that. But with that said, they were winning 14 to 10 in the third quarter before Teddy Bridgewater threw an interception that would not only end his day as he hit his hand on a helmet in the follow through, but lead to basically the end of the Dolphins' playoffs hopes this season. So, very, very disappointing there. I did come into this game with, I don't know if high hopes is the correct way to say it, but I was hopeful. I thought, hey, here's a storybook kind of tale potentially unfolding. Teddy Bridgewater from Miami, grew up a Dolphins fan, goes into the NFL, leading the Vikings, makes the playoffs, loses a heartbreaker to the Seahawks, but positive momentum. He's going to be the leader going forward. His knee gets horrifically injured. Teammates throwing up on the sidelines. He takes a long time to rehab. He eventually gets back, but by the time he does get back, the team has kind of moved on. At the quarterback position, he bounces around, including a successful stint with the Saints a few years ago during their run that would end against the Rams in the playoffs. He went 5-0. He doesn't do well in Carolina, doesn't do well in Denver. He potentially could do well in Miami. He's the backup. We don't get to see him much this season. The one time he does start a game, he gets taken out because he was spotted for a concussion that he did not have. 2 games left. The Dolphins, Tua, he's out potentially for the season. We'll see. Probably now for the season. But Teddy, 2 games to make the playoffs, to get his hometown team to the promised land, and unfortunately, he's not able to do it due to injury, but also, play wasn't the best. So, very disappointing there. The storybook did not come to fruition. The fairy tale remained just that, a fairy tale. And yeah, the Dolphins, more likely than not, are eliminated from playoff contention. They could potentially get back there. They could make it into the playoffs if some things go their way, but I wouldn't necessarily count on that. They controlled their destiny and they blew it. They went from 8-3 to 8-8, a huge collapse, and now there are just lots of questions surrounding this team that does not have a first round pick going into next season. It's disappointing. Just a very disappointing way for the season to not entirely end yet, but it looks like it's going that way, right? So let's get into this game in particular. So as I said, Teddy started off the game. He went 12 of 19 for 161 yards, 1 touchdown, and that aforementioned interception. Skylar Thompson came in when they were losing. He went 12 of 21 for 104 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Jeff Wilson Jr. Added 46 yards on the ground. Raheem Mostert had 29. As for receiving, Raheem Mostert actually had himself a day, catching 8 receptions for 62 yards and 1 touchdown. That was from Teddy. That put him ahead 14-7. Tyreek Hill 4 for 55. Jalen Waddle 3 for 52. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention, but Mike Gesicki did catch a touchdown. He went 2 for 18. But again, it just was not to be, right? New England, not a bad team. Their defense is quite good. Their offense, I don't think, is anything special. But now the control their destiny. Good game to them. Congratulations. I would be interested to see what will happen if this team makes the playoffs. I don't necessarily see them as a high ceiling team. I think, honestly, this is probably their ceiling. This 8-8, perhaps 9-8, kind of middling, which makes it frustrating to lose to a team like that. Granted, of course, Tua's out, Xavier Howard's out, Bradley Chubb's out. We had a lot of injuries going into this game, but injuries aren't an excuse. You got to get it done, and if you're a better team, then you should be able to win. I do think the Dolphins are a better team. They were not able to win, so disappointing. I do wonder what will this loss potentially do for Mike McDaniel, a 5-game losing streak to essentially eliminate them from the playoffs. Doesn't look great. There's a lot of hope, a lot of optimism at 8-3. A lot of people saying, "Hey, the Dolphins are going to make the playoffs, and they're going to potentially make some noise in the playoffs." And that was not to be. At least it's been a few weeks of building through this losing streak, so that I'm not entirely just completely disappointing. It would suck to have been one win one, lose one, win one, lose one, and now get to this point and lose and get out of the playoffs. I think that would hurt more than kind of slowly accepting that the Dolphins are backsliding and there's nothing that can really be done. I've kind of mentally prepared myself for the disappointment that has been this season so far. I'm interested to hear what other Dolphins fans think. Where do we go from here? We have a lot of question marks. We have a lot of big contracts. Do you expect the Dolphins to stick with Tua? Do you think they're going to be more aggressive in the offseason and try to, maybe trade for a more established veteran? Obviously, they don't have a first-round pick this year, so there's not going to be any rookies replacing them, and I don't think that the team is really in the spot where you'd even want a rookie quarterback. I'm a big fan of Tua, as you all know if you watch these videos. I'm not giving up on him, but, the conversation does have to be had. Is this team ready to actually compete? Can Tua be relied upon to help them compete? Can he be relied upon to not get injury? Can he be relied upon to not get injured? Not just the concussions. Those are a big storyline this year, but the rib last year, a thumb injury. Obviously he had the catastrophic hip injury. That's, kind of a fluke thing, but it's just very disappointing. I've said that how many times these last few weeks covering this team, that this is just a disappointing way for the season to go after the season held so much promise to begin with. And I'm sure I'm far from the only Dolphins fan, one, frustrated, and then probably far from how the most extreme disappointment. I'm sure there are people online right now who are being like, burn it all down. I don't think that's the right answer, but we'll see what happens. I'd love to hear what you think as a fellow Dolphins fans. As for me, I'm just disappointed. It sucks to get close to relevancy, to get close to competing after the Dolphins have only been in the playoffs 2 times in the last 20 years. Both times they were blown out in the playoffs. To have a team that not only looks like it was going to be able to make the playoffs, but was going to compete with the other top AFC teams. It sucks. It's just is what it is. So we'll see. Obviously, I'll be back here next week. Maybe things will go our way. Maybe we'll sneak in. I wouldn't count on that, though. So lots of questions to be answered in this offseason. And I will be providing coverage for all of those moves. So other than that, if you liked this, as I said, I cover the Dolphins every single week, and I will continue to do so for as long as their season goes. And then whenever big stuff happens in the offseason, I will cover that as well. I do appreciate you watching if you've stuck around this long. And if you're not completely sick of my voice after this, nearly 10 minutes of talking, we cover a lot of different sports here on the channel, so please check that out. You can follow me on Twitter at TheFakeBMar. This BMARR channel is on Twitter at Wicked Good Sport and at WG Everything. Instagram, Wicked Everything. Twitch at twitch.tv/Wicked Everything. And on TikTok, search Wicked Good Sports, search Wicked Good Everything. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.